Welcome back to SV Basic. Look at this. The rain has stopped. Sun's coming out and the lake calmed down. It's beautiful today. Last week we got those diesel heaters fired up, but I neglected to show a few of the steps, mainly the exhaust. And there's a couple other things behind the scenes that I did not show. So we're going to start looking at that. Exhaust is probably the most difficult part of that whole install, and the video ran a little long, so I thought I'd cover some of that today. Let's take a look at how I did the exhaust and a few of the other little items. Okay, I'm in that forward locker, and I need to put in the second trunk line. Here's the first one. This is the second unit. It's going to come here. It's going to feed Emma's stateroom, which is through here, and then dive down here, and that's where it returns back and feeds the hallway. So that's what I'm working on right now. Okay, so this is the trunk line off unit 1. It runs the beam of the boat, about 20 feet total, feeds the dash and the master head. This is the second trunk line coming off unit 2. It is in, it feeds Emma's stateroom here, then turns around, goes back into the heat locker, where it branches off to 3 other registers. I'll do that next. Don't you think?
It's tight in here.
But it's cozy.
Yeah, super cozy. Is my work done?
Your work's done. Let's go. Now that I've made those connections on the back side of unit 2 here, this is that trunk line I was working on. Goes into that locker, feeds Emma's stateroom, right here, loops around, comes back in here, and actually has a floor register in the salon. There was a little cool spot there, so that's going to handle that. Then this comes around and dives into this locker here. There's 2 things that need to happen. I have a register already mounted right here. So I'm going to tie that trunk line into here. But down below this locker, this gets a little cool down here. I want to heat this floor area. So what I'll do is I'll come straight off of this trunk line, come down, put a register right here to heat the floor, and then turn and come into this one here. What do you think, Compass? Will that work? Huh? He says it'll work. So let's do that. You may notice this little pile of goodies right here. I just removed all that. That was all the conduit and straps to hold the existing heating in. When I shave these out during the haul out, I'll fill all the little holes in, ferret all out, and make this locker smooth again. Here's all the little pieces I need. I just cut them all off measurement. Let's see how they fit. They all have to cram into this locker here, and I'm tucking them up as tight as I can to the ceiling. I got plenty of room up here, that way I can still have lots of locker space. I cut my hole out, and I used a little piece of this to fill in this. Just put it in there. That way when I'm doing my glasswork here, I already have my piece cut out. I'll be able to fill that in later. I'm not worried about this hole here because I'm going to cut a grate over this for more air into this locker that goes up into the other locker. So let's put this together and see how she fits. I really like using this hard ducting. If you think about it, unlike that corrugated ducting, you have a smooth interior, which the airflow could move throughout it much more efficiently. So far so good. It is tougher to work with though. It's tough to get it into these tight spots. Let's see. Let's try this. This one first. There we go. The last one comes up from below. Let's see, right there. And there it is. Okay, it's gonna work nice. Now it's just a matter of put all my retainer screws in, and the ducting's done for this trunk line. It's amazing how many times you put something together and take it apart when you're doing a refit like this. But that's why I came up with things like this. I had to remove part of this wire harness to get this duct in here. But rather than having a hard duct here, I left it open so I could do things like that. It's easy to add wire, it's easy to take out wire, it's easy to move things around so I could get something like a duct in. It's worked out pretty well for me. Now put it all back together. I'll probably be taking it apart again one day, I'm sure. Just like everything else. And there we go. I always get a lot of comments on why I have these exposed wire chases all out throughout the boat. Well, let me show you why. They're easy to get to, but I'm tucking in places that you can't see. The wire chase is right there. You have to get down on your knees. You still can't see it. You gotta start looking underneath before you'll see it. But look at the access. Easy access. I wouldn't have it any other way. Now it's just a matter of putting my retainer screws in to lock this all in. I'll have to do the same thing in that forward locker. Doing refits on boats, not gonna lie, you gotta be somewhat of a contortionist. It certainly helps. Okay, now I'm back here. Put all my set screws on that trunk line and this one as well. Get these all buttoned up so I can get on to the next stage, which is exhaust. Okay, the ducting's all in. Both trunk lines are complete. Now it's time to shift gears, and we're going to work on the most important part of this whole install, and that's the exhaust. That exhaust gets hot, so we need to have plenty of clearance around all the exhaust lines and get it exiting the boat in a safe way. Okay, the exhaust has to pass through a bulkhead. I don't want the exhaust getting near the bulkhead. So I'm going to cut the hole, and it's going to pass through a metal opening, aluminum actually. The exhaust was aluminum, so I chose the same metal so I wouldn't have any dissimilar metals touching each other, even though they won't, but they're in close proximity to each other. I don't need to use a heavy gauge here. This is just to center the exhaust through the hole so it doesn't touch any of the bulkhead. Okay, there we go. A plate for each side of the bulkhead as it passes through. I'll be drilling a hole right through the center here and put 4 set screws. Okay, those drilled out easily. Let's get these filed smooth. Back in the locker, stuffed in here. Okay, here's what I'm up to. Those plates I just cut out. I'll be honest, I put the exhaust through the bulkhead here. It's a 1-inch exhaust pipe, which left me quite a bit of area around this. I took temperature readings of this, and it was still reaching about 140 degrees. I don't want that much temperature coming through here, so I'm going to cut these another 1/2 inch bigger around this. Mount it to this aluminum plate, so it's touching the aluminum plate as it comes through. Okay, that gives me quite a bit more clearance. I'm going to test fit the whole system, then I'll back it out and epoxy any raw edges. When I put this on permanently, I'll use also put a little fire resistant silicone in there just to seal it. I don't want any potential exhaust fumes coming in backwards into that locker. Okay, first one's in. Next one's a little more difficult. I'll have to modify this area a little bit to get that in there. Okay, here's what I'm doing. Recess that in so they're all on a flat plane. I'll get this secured now so I can test, or so I can install the inside. Then once that's installed, I'll come back out here and do my glass work. Okay, back inside. Lynn's busy making Christmas dinner. Emma's actually doing a little schoolwork on Christmas. Good for you. Lynn? What do we have for dinner?
We're having prime rib, mashed potatoes, gravy, green beans, spinach salad.
That sounds like
dessert.
Sounds delicious. And I'm doing my best to make a mess as fast as she's cleaning it up. I better get busy here. Okay, here's what I got going. I'm gonna do on the inside exactly what I did on the outside. Mount these plates. I'm gonna cut back the insulation here. I'm just trying to get as much clearance around this exhaust as I can. Okay, I've got the insulation out, but it's tough to cut from this side with all this in here, so I'm going to go into the locker and cut backwards. Okay, these are put back together. Let's go inside. Oh, I'm getting sore crawling in and out of here. I'm getting too old for this. That was tough to get work in this little area, but I've got my metal plates recessed in and they're all mounted in. Now I can put the sleeve back in and work on the exhaust. Do you love it?
Yes.
Honor Mom!
Thank you.
All right, Emma. This gift came from a subscriber who likes your videos.
Okay.
So this is from Eric, and he sent this over with a letter to you. Andy?
Whoa! Hold on.
Tell everyone what it is.
It's little lures and tackle box amazingness.
Good job, Em.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, here's the last push to get this exhaust buttoned up. Here's the aluminum sleeves that go through the bulkhead. My air filters. Here's the through-hole fittings that the exhaust ties into. Double wall and extensions on the exhaust to give a nice big loop on it before it exits. Heavy-duty clamps for all of it. I think I'm ready. Let's get going on this. Okay, back in here. Let's take a look at this. I need to put these sleeves in. First, I'm going to epoxy the raw edges, put these plates right back on. While that's curing, I'll put my filters for the air intakes in. Okay, those are back in. Now let's put these two air filters on. Okay, just pop those on. Now secure them with a bracket. Okay, those are in. Filters pop right off the bottom, real easy for cleaning. I like it. Okay, now the fun part. The exhaust comes centered through these holes. Needs to come up and make a 1 foot rise and loop and out. I want to have a full 1 foot loop here, so if water does ever splash in the zone, it has to travel uphill quite a bit before it can make it away around the loop. Even if it did make it past the loop, those go through risers straight up into the units. So it has to travel a long way uphill. If it ever becomes a problem, I will put water boxes on here. And I still may do that. We'll take a look at the splash zone and see how much water hits that area. If a lot does hit that area, water boxes are going in. Okay, I've laid out the 2 exit ports. Now let's drill through the hole. It's nice. Okay, holes are in, all prepped. Now I'm going to go mix up some thickened epoxy and treat this edge here before I put the fitting in. Okay, I got a little help in here. Hey, you got that all buttoned up yet?
Yes. I don't know what you're complaining about.
What do you mean?
There's plenty of room.
For you?
I know, it's kind of pretty nice in here when it's nice and dry. You stuck me right underneath that hatch where it was raining.
Well, it's another day.
Yeah.
Okay, keep at it. You could go out that way.
What?
I have to twist myself in a knot to get out of there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Before I reassemble this, I'm taking my exhaust lines. This is just the segment that's in the interior locker, and I'm wrapping it with header tape. I just wanted to not have any heat as it's passing through that bulkhead, which is right about here. After that, I've got plenty of line for the exhaust to cool before it exits the boat. So you take this stuff, you soak it in water, and you just muscle it on. It doesn't go easy, but it'll do the job. And there we go. You kind of have to fight that stuff on there. It's designed for a much bigger diameter pipe than this little 1-inch exhaust, but it'll do the trick. Okay, exhaust is back in, all wrapped and insulated. I'm going to go into that locker and insert the sleeves now. One thing I neglected to talk about was when you're handling this stuff, wear rubber gloves. I should have, and I didn't, and my hands lit up a little bit last night. Not too bad. My hands are pretty tough, so. But somebody with a little more delicate skin, definitely use gloves when you're handling this. Okay, heading out to make those final connections. Kind of exciting. Got my bag of goodies. All the tools I need, all the parts I need, hopefully. Because I hate crawling out of this hole. Uh-oh, let's get in there. Okay, I'm stuffed in here. I'll be sitting here for about an hour. Maybe a little more. Okay, this is how those penetrate through the bulkhead now. Now I'm going to insert these sleeves just to give a little more protection. This is going to have a bead of high temp silicone right through here to keep this stable and to keep it from moving. But that looks pretty good. Let's get this one in. I'm liking that. I think that's going to be nice and safe. Okay, before I silicone this in, I'm going to make the connection of my exhaust lead. It's going to make this big loop right here and exit here. I'll do some sort of standoff because I don't want it touching and I want it nice and stable. So I want to hold it off the ceiling about 2 inches. Okay, first one is bent into place here. Takes my big loop. I wanted to keep as much of this on here too, so the further it travels, the cooler it gets before it exits the boat. Second one is bent into shape. Gotta make this last connection here. Put on these clamps. I've got a little piece of aluminum here, and I just marked out where I need to drill holes, make bends, and make cuts. And this will create a couple of standoffs for that exhaust. Okay, here's the standoff going in. Okay, there it is. It's all in. Nice clearance. No movement. Nothing's touching. I feel good about the penetration. Okay, on to the next project.
My dad has finally finished our new heating system. I wonder what he'll do next week. Anyways, guys, if you liked the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe. If you really like it, don't forget to check our Patreon page in the link below. Come back next week to see one of our cool new videos. See you then!